Hey guys, Tarke here, and today we're going to be going through the Ultimatum Balance Manifesto. I've had some time with this before, so I've kind of let it marinate in. I'm not going to be reading through every single change bit by bit, but I will be skimming through the document and talk about the main standout features. This is basically just a bunch of nerfs. They're very heavy nerfs. I think for the most part they're all justified. There's one or two that I disagree with how they've gone about doing the nerfs. But yeah, let's just get into it. So the first thing is low life, low mana, and low energy shield now all count as 50%. They've rebalanced a bunch of effects around this. They haven't mentioned the champion adrenaline node, so that's been buffed up pretty substantially. Blood magic has been split into 2 gems. One is for auras, one is for skills. The skill one is called Life Tap. When we see the numbers on that, we can judge it fully, but my prediction is Life Tap is going to be the meta pick. And I'm expecting a lot of builds to end up using Life Tap to solve all their mana costs. I think it's going to be very, very powerful. There's been some new fizz damage over time multiplier nodes added to certain parts of the skill tree, and stuff like Glad has been changed to accommodate for that. Corrupting Blood no longer counts as a bleed. It's got its own special stuff. That's all kind of whatever. Bladestorm now has a bleed multiplier. This is very nice. I got very excited when I read this. But then this line kind of hurts really hard. The 100% more damage with bleeds or poison from Eld influence weapons has been removed, and it's been replaced with a new local poison or bleed damage over time modifier. This mod has been a problem mod for a while. I've said multiple times I wish they would change it. What I wanted was this to be like the tier 0 best in case bleed/poison mod, and a much weaker version was added to the core table. There was too much power in this one mod, and it being gated behind eye level 86 Elder bases was a significant problem. This isn't the solution. You can still do bleed builds, you can still do poison builds. This will be quite a big shift for a lot of skills, though, in how they set up their characters. For example, using the Poison Scourge I built, which I played a fair bit of, Darkscorn is now by far the best in slot for that build. I think bleed and poison will still be playable, but this is a substantial, very heavy hit. Also cat, if you hadn't noticed that already, by the way. So yeah, that one kind of hurts a bit. Skill cost has been changed and refactored. This is all kind of whatever, we just need to see it. This is a very big thing though. Chainbreaker no longer removes rage on hit. Instead, it implies a small rage cost to all skills, which is then modified by skill cost modifiers. This is a massive, just like absolute shotgun blast to the face of Chainbreaker builds. Chainbreaker used to be very powerful for builds that did not hit. Dot builds, traps, mines, totems, those kind of builds. This will still be usable for some niche cases, but when we get to the Berserker nerfs later, this is basically just being double tapped. Berserk, sorry, the Divergent Berserk change. This is yeah. I don't like this change. I think they need to do one or the other. I think double tapping like this just means people won't use this ability that much. Also, mines from the changes. Mines now have a flat mana cost and a reservation cost, which is a very big change. This also means that Indigon will no longer provide spell damage without affecting the mine cost at all. A Cane, Moment of Silence for your build. Really big hit. Mine reservation stuff was kind of wonky. It kind of needed messing around with. I don't know if this is how I would have gone about doing it. I probably would have preferred that they just removed the Indigon fringe case and then left the core mine stuff. Like, I would have just had it so Indigon didn't work with mines rather than Indigon does work with mines and they have this mana cost and mana reservation. Yeah. Atlas passive rebalance. There's been some rebalancing. Wait to see how it plays. Vol skills. There's been some Vol skill stuff. Wait to see how it plays. Skill balance changes. Blade Vortex, Blade Blast, Toxic Rain, General's Cry with channeled skills, Seismic Cry, Karen Golem, and Vitality have all been hit. Frostbomb and Wave of Conviction have had their exposure values lowered. This is good. Flesh and Stone now has 35 reservation from 25. Vigilant Strike, the threshold duel, the Vigil, has been changed, so you're not going to be getting those 30-second long cooldowns. Divergent Berserk now grants 0.25 more spell damage per quality from 1. So, now to recap all these changes. Blade Vortex, Blade Blast, both of those needed nerfs. We don't know what the numbers are, but it will be well deserved, and there were such strong builds with such high scaling potential, they'll still be fine anyway. Toxic Rain had massive problems with its just like forever scaling top end. The way I would go about changing this would be hitting its like crazy proj AoE investment and keeping the base level the same. It will probably still be playable just because of how strong it is. And lol, course to carry main here didn't get touched. General's Cry with channeled skills. General's Cry has been very strong. It probably will still be very strong. Seismic Cry hurt, but it was deserved. It was way too strong. Carrying Golem, it will probably still be fine. They already hit it once. They can probably afford to hit it again. Golems are just strong, and minions are just strong in general. Vitality was seeing too much use. Hopefully they don't kill it. But it was incredibly powerful for what it was. I don't know if I necessarily mind that, but oh well. The Frostbomb or Wave Conviction things I think is very good. It makes other exposure values more interesting. You'll still want to use them because they'll still be the best. Like, you want exposure in your elemental builds. So it's nerfed and you'll still use it. That's a good change. The Flesh and Stone, now at 35 Reservation, I understand it was very strong. However, there are just like very strong defensive nerfs across the board, and I think all of these defensive nerfs and the Flesh and Stone nerf at the same time, people would still run it at 35%, but yeah, that hurts. There was also some new reservation nodes for it if you're in Duelist. The Berserk thing, I don't think they need to do this and Chainbreaker. I think it's overkill. You can still use it because the Berserk effect is still strong outside of the spell damage. It's now just like you're using it for the other stuff and you get a little bit more damage. But they didn't need to do this, and it's overkill. This is a massive. This is a big explosive trap nerf. Traps got nerfed because the Divergent Berserk stuff. Explosive trap got double tapped. It will still be very strong. People were using shield and one-hand versions with it. That just is the only option now, because crit chance, crit multi, damage over time multiplier, and chain modifiers on quivers now only apply to attack or bow skill, so they'll still work stuff like Core Scary Tox Grain, but they will no longer work with spells, and Signal Fire has their fizz added as fire, and Projectiles Fork to attack only. So you can no longer use Signal Fire with Explosive. You can no longer do, like, you could still craft plus level spell damage bows, but you lose all the inherent crit multi. There's still an argument to doing it over a staff, because you can still just use the quiver with like 100 life and stats on it. You can also still get like Pierce and stuff like that on quivers. Through essences, you can get just generic Pierce. So I would probably still expect to see some bow casters. Like this will do nothing to affect, for example, bow casters like Essence Drain or like bow SRS, which is quite an old thing. I don't know if people even still do that anymore. But there will still be some bow caster builds. But they're mostly just hitting the like stacked crit multi stuff, which was, to be fair, very strong. Explodey Chest, I actually think they could have hit this harder. Explodey Chest now is enemies have a chance to explode rather than being 100%. This will still be amazing. Like, you'll still use this. You still use Occultist, like you still use Obliteration ones. Just any form of explosion is strong. I was expecting them to just like remove the mod because it was just too dominant. This will still be a dominant mod. It's just chance based now. This is amazing. Harvest Monster Life, they've nerfed them to hit Detonate Dead builds. Still be strong. But this will make stuff like Volatile Dead and Cremation a bit stronger compared to Detonate Dead, because they don't care that much about the corpse life scaling. Self-Hexproof is a big hit. This is for like Headhunter self-curse builds. Poison Sextant, this is basically just some fringe abuse cases that for people who did it, it was ridiculously powerful, but so few people did it. The vast majority of players won't even know what this means. Likewise with the Hexproof thing, it's a well-needed, long-needed change. Fractured Fossils and Boss Splitting, long-needed change. This will only affect the top percentage of players. Most people won't be affected by this. The argument you could make for the average player being affected by this is you can no longer like infinitely print 6-link white socket bases, so the price of chests might go up to accommodate for that. So there could be some like knock-on effect with the economy, which indirectly hurts players. But this is very good to stop people from endlessly printing money. This is a good, long-needed change. It always caused problems. Every league it would cause a problem. It needed to happen. They've made Atlas Mission Stain slightly worse. I kind of wish they didn't do this. I understand why they did this, because we now have the new Atlas passives, but it's kind of whatever. Delirium item quantity and rarity got nerfed. This was needed. It was too powerful. It will still be the best way to play the game if you want to just make currency. This is the kind of nerf I like. It's still the best thing. It's just not as good as it was. Passive tree stuff. There's been some changes to AoE, skill effect duration, air effect, and proj speed on cluster jewel notables, because you can stack them and they're meant to be like rare mods. We need to see what the numbers look like. The skill effect duration one is the only one that really cares. Like, it's the only one I really care about because they've already like hit a lot of the skill effect duration stuff before when it comes to like chaos dot skills, and I kind of hope that they're still attractive. GGG is very good at like double tapping, so hopefully they didn't go too heavy on it, but I can understand the thought process. There's been some stuff to Berserker, which is very cool. It's got this interesting new defensive node. Very curious to see how people play with it. The main problem I have with all of these changes, when we talk about some defensive stuff still yet to come, is they've done nothing unless it's safe for patch notes for champion fortify effect scaling. So I'm expecting to see a lot of the like hardcore and the hardcore SSF crowd feeling forced to play champions because everything else has been nerfed, or that hasn't been nerfed, and that was arguably already the strongest thing by quite a large margin. Immortal Ambitions Keystone Life Leech effects recover. Any shield 1 for life is now limited to maximum total any shield recovery. Basically, it's just quite a fair bit worse now. Combined with the Corrupted Soul Keystone and the powerful recovery source of Leech, it provided too great an increase to characters' combined recovery. This change preserves the desirable life effect not being removed at full life access with the Keystone, but limits how easy it is to recover your any shield pool. Basically, you could do some cool things where you had like Slayer Leech Life, crazy ES regen, pew, 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 super tanky. It will still be decent, but nowhere near as good as it used to be. Corrupted Soul now gives you 15 of max life as ES from 20. Kind of sucks. I liked this node a lot. It's still going to be good. But yeah. You could also make the argument that with a lot of the other changes, this would then be like the one that more people would have gone towards. We also haven't seen any like changes to Inquiz. So this will still be very strong for Inquiz builds, and Inquiz is a better defensive option when everything else is nerfed, other than Champion. As mentioned above, the Chainbreaker Keystone no longer cause you to lose 5 rage when you hit an enemy, but now instead has skills cost plus 3 rage. The Keystone allowed certain skills that either did not hit, such as Bane, or skills such as Totems and Mines. Traps GGG. Traps do exist. I know you think they don't, but trust me, they do. Hardened Scars no longer grants Fortify during the effect of any life flask. Now grants Fortify while recovering life from a life flask. This is a massive hit to Pathfinder builds that used to have 100% uptime with Fortify. Funnily enough, a lot of the builds that used to do this would also get hit by the poison changes, because you see a lot of like poison bow Pathfinders. Also you see a lot of Toxic Rain Pathfinders, which is getting hit. Course to carry Pathfinders are getting hit, but because of this, not because Course Carry is also being nerfed. So actually a pretty big nerf to Pathfinder. Again, a very big nerf to a strong, I wouldn't even say that dominant hardcore strategy. I don't think it was that problematic. I don't know. The Necromancer's Essence Gluttonade has had its amount of mana regeneration when you consume a corpse sword from 8 to 4%. It was providing more base mana regen than any other source. This will still be very strong. It's a nerf to like Mind of Matter agnostic cremation, but like it will still be very, very good. Primal Aegis from Elementalist is now 75 damage from 100. Like it was good. I don't think it was necessarily a problem node. It will still be decent. I'm not mad at the change, but it wasn't one that I was really expecting. Of the new like Ascendancy stuff that was strong, I would argue that Inquisitor is way stronger than this. Although you could make the argument that they balanced Inquiz by like affecting these things. A lot of Inquiz used to take advantage of this. So they're like, if we nerf the life ES shenanigans, then we don't need to do that and nerf Inquiz, which would have been a double nerf. So basically, to summarize, very heavy hits all round. I think this is mostly focused towards the hardcore player base. There are some very key softcore like damage strats which have been hit, primarily the Berserk scaling with Chainbreaker and the bow crit multi-quiver stuff. But this seems much more hardcore focused. Oh, and obviously the Explodey Chest, but that was just been, it's needed to happen for a long time. I'm pretty sad about the bleed change. I think there's better ways of going about it. We'll have to wait for the final patch notes, but let me know what you think of these changes. I'm Tarke. That's a cat. Have a good day. Bye-bye.